Easily one of my favorite things to watch these days, and probably one of your favorite things to watch, is whenever legacy media journalists get befuddled and confused whenever Conservative Party leader Pierre Poilievre just doesn't take part in their stupid media games. On top of getting just massive financial subsidies from the government, a lot of media outlets got the subsidy of fake credibility. The Liberal government and a lot of politicians acted like these people were the big truth tellers of Canadian politics. They were the neutral arbiters of what matters and what doesn't matter, what's offensive and what's not offensive, what's in bounds for Canadian politics and what's out of bounds. That a lot of these people end up getting this outsized amount of power, despite the fact that nobody watches their shows. I guarantee more people might watch this video than watch a CBC broadcast, which is mandated to be on every single news channel, and they upload it to YouTube and other video platforms. Nobody watches these people. It's hilarious how little people watch these people, and yet you would have in the past Conservative Party leaders like Erin O'Toole bend over backwards to ask the stupid, skewed questions that these people put out. They would walk up to Erin O'Toole. They could basically pour soup down the guy's pants, and he'd apologize to them. They would come up to Erin O'Toole and say, "You said something bad. Where's our apology?" And he'd get on his hands and knees and say, "I'm so sorry for whatever I did, which you haven't even explained to me yet. I will do better. My entire career is terrible and hollow, and I am utterly embarrassed to be a Conservative." That's what the media's relationship with people like Erin O'Toole were like. And ever since Pierre Poilievre became the leader, they are just beside themselves because Poilievre does not capitulate. He doesn't come down and like just start crying and weeping every single time he's accused of doing something bad, showing how just like consummately like mad at himself he is for doing that. He doesn't do that because he hasn't done anything wrong. And the legacy media questions are so often just predicated on nothing. They are based on nothing. You have not done anything wrong. You have just annoyed the far left. And so many legacy media journalists are either part of the far left or sympathetic to the far left that they push for these stupid premises as if they're real. One of the best instances outside of the Apple video, which everyone knows, was that way distant interview question where that lady at a PEI gas station was going on about how Pierre Poilievre is using the language of conspiracy theories, very stridently asking him, "Well, do you condemn those in your party who play into conspiracies? Well, you've been said that you play into conspiracy theories in the far right." And the lady had nothing. All Poilievre had to do is just ask, "What do you mean? What far right conspiracy theories? What aspect am I like the far right?" And they couldn't answer, and they looked like fools. And this sort of weird, confused befuddlement and frustration is how we get brilliant article headlines from the National News Watch like this. Poilievre's failure to condemn far right speaks volumes. Extremism researchers, what do they have, a PhD in studying extremism? It's silly. I'm obviously not going to go through this article, but I still want to read the subhead. It says, "By not categorically rejecting any support from the far right group or Jones, who he has called garbage conspiracy theorists, Poilievre is telling Canadians that the kind of choices he's making as leader, or telling Canadians about the kind of choices he's making as leader," Trudeau said. No, you don't have to condemn every single group the media asks you to. This is a stupid media game that they're going to come up with some random person you do not know, you do not care about, and especially Canadians don't care about, and they want you to say something about it. Well, aren't you going to condemn Bob from accounting at Enron because he once shared a spicy meme and he was taking a photo next to you? What? This is like gas leak kind of media coverage that we're now like basically having to condemn people who reply underneath our tweets and social media posts. What? This isn't even a story. Like the legacy media, it's incredible. I actually encourage you, go watch The National from the CBC. It's torture, yes, and I am basically telling you to go act as a masochist temporarily. But a 45-minute broadcast of the CBC The National, their headline flagship show, has no news in it. It is incredible. There's nothing going on in the National. They report nothing. There's no significant stories. Whenever they talk about anything political, they have a panel of 4 idiots who get up, who are basically either Liberal Party shills or the most progressive of progressive conservatives who don't actually, basically, they're conservatives in the sense that they're not conservative and they call themselves conservatives. And so that's our political coverage. I remember when I was watching some CBC The National with Daniel in his apartment, Daniel Boardman, the other guy who does shows here for the National Telegraph. It was incredible. 45 minutes. They did the same story 5 times. They have a $1.4 billion a year subsidy. Plus, they also make money artificially on all the ads that they sell because they have to be on every single television cable package in Canada. So naturally, they get a lot of artificial viewership. So they end up like making they have like a crazy big budget, and they can somehow not even cover a rainstorm properly. These people are actively just terrible at their jobs. Like whenever someone gets a journalism degree and they go work at the legacy media, I almost in the back of my mind think, well, that person's given up. Well, you're basically saying I could never make it on my own. I could never be interesting enough if I just fired up a camera and talked about the news of the day. I could never go out like some other independent media journalists do, pulling up a camera, filming little protests going on, filming press conferences, asking questions, doing mini documentaries. Cian Bexty has done a lot of these like small documentaries on no budget that are far more high quality than the CBC. Mocha, who used to work at the Rebel, is doing all these things on the Calistani crazies around Canada, filming them and their protests, filming things about nitrogen with like having to do with farmers and all the nitrogen regulations and how that's going to hurt farmers, doing all that with basically nothing. And it's far better quality than the CBC, who needs to send like 5 people and their massive cameras, like they're like whatever his name is. I was about to name a director, couldn't do it. Like they're Michael Cimino or something like that. I wanted to name a director who flopped hard. They show up with their massive cameras to film like a 2-minute press conference, and they have to have like 5 unionized employees there, and they don't even get the story right. These people are awful. And now they're mad at Poilievre because he doesn't take part in the game, because that's all they had was the game, was the drama, high school drama, kind of crappy coverage where, look, like we got Poilievre or we got some leader to say that they did something wrong. There was a stupid social media scandal, and we're going to ask a bunch of people questions because we have a permanent camera set up in Parliament, and we're going to force them to apologize for something that they have nothing to do with. That is all they had left, and now they have absolutely nothing. And now, for the next year and a half before the next federal election, they are going into begging mode, begging Canadians to try and vote Liberal or NDP so that they can hold on to their subsidies. Yes, they're not overtly begging, but they are effectively begging Canadians to not vote for the far-right extremism-loving Pierre Poilievre because, random reasons, when the real reason is we have $1.4 billion we rely on here at the CBC, or like other amounts of money if you're at other outlets like CTV and Global and, the Globe and Mail, all these places. Contemptible. That's all I can say. Anyways, that's it for me. I just want to quickly plug the fact that I, Wyatt Claypool, am running for the Calgary Signal Hill Conservative Party nomination. This is the federal riding of Calgary Signal Hill. If you live on the west side of Calgary, check if you live in this riding. The boundaries just changed, and this is what they look like. Buy a membership. Vote for me, number 1 on your ballot, a federal Conservative Party membership, and check out my website in the description below, WyattClaypool.com. And then you can also donate to the legal fund for the National Telegraph to help us fight back against this Chinese billionaire developer suing us for no reason. After 2 years of this lawsuit going on, he still hasn't found a coherent reason as to how we've defamed him, and he has not provided any evidence. He is simply using his money to try and bully people who he thought couldn't actually fight back. We are fighting back, but you guys donating does help out reduce the burden of costs on us. And then also in the description, I have the Telegram channel for TNT. If you want to click on that, join the channel so that you can get sort of the stream of consciousness post of all the content we put up, because sometimes YouTube doesn't show you when we have new videos, and other platforms that we do videos on you guys might not know about yet. So we kind of post everything that TNT people are associated with. So the Not on Record podcast, whenever I do podcasts with Chris, the Great Canadian Bagel podcast, all these videos and some other stuff that Daniel does for his own channel as well. Anyways, that should be it for me today, guys.